This video is for the replacement of a ball joint, lower ball joint, on a 2008 Dodge Avenger. You will need to remove the tire, which is 19mm lug nuts. You'll need to remove the CV shaft spindle nut, which is a 32mm. You will need to disconnect the tie rod end, outer tie rod end, 18mm with a crown nut and a cotter pin. You will also need to take loose the caliper, which is two 14mm pins. Slide right out, and there's a bolt that holds the hose to the strut assembly here, which is a 12mm. The two bolts that hold the knuckle, steering knuckle to the strut, are 21mm. We'll take those off, as well as the ball joint bolt here, nut, 18mm down there. There is no crown nut or pin there. Once you have that assembly removed, you will take the rotor off and the heat shield. The heat shield does need to come off. The dust shield does need to come off this assembly, as there is a slot right here that you will need to access this clip. This clip holds the ball joint in, and it will snap into the ball joint like so. Okay, and to get it off, you need to use two screwdrivers. I used these two here, and I was able to pry those off. And if you can't get to the edge of the clip to pop it out, what I did is I took these pliers, needle nose pliers with a 90-degree bend on them, and I was able to hook it around and dig at it until it popped out enough to where I could get the screwdriver in there. And then once you got that removed, you can simply take a 5-pound hammer, and I just tapped a couple times, and then I used this breaker bar to help me get in there with a good angle. And I just hit here, and it took a good 12 whacks to drive this right out. It was not seized. I did not have to heat it up. It came right out. To put it back in, I used a 2.5 by 2-inch bushing that I had laying around, and I just put it over the top to hit this flange and clear the boot. And then I used this socket on top, and I just drove the whole assembly of the new ball joint home, like so. Here's the old one, and there's the new one. A lot of play in this. The tire was wearing funny. You can feel in the steering wheel. You'll know it when you have a bad ball joint. You can pull on the tire and you'll feel it. You'll feel all kinds of play from left to right as you pull on the tires. These are all the tools I did use. That's everything I used. Get a close up there so you know what you may need to go purchase, or at least have out of your toolbox. Not very difficult. It took me 45 minutes to get the assembly out and drive the new ball joint in. Alright? And to go back in, what I'm going to do, since I got this in, I'll go ahead and put the Zerk fitting in. I'll get the plate back on. This plate over here. Get the dust shield back on. Put the whole assembly back in the car. Put this back on the lower control arm. Slide the CV shaft through and just bolt it up. There's no particular order that you really need to do this in. You can pretty much start anywhere on this assembly and start bolting it up. Hope you found this video informative. Feel free to ask me questions.